Okay, everybody, hello. Welcome to Mr. Vona's biology classroom. And if you take a look at your screen, you will see the plan for today's video. We have a fetal pig, and that hand was one of my kids' hands. They're here experiencing this with me, and they'll be experiencing it with you. So I have 1, 2, 3 kids. Can each of you put one hand on top of the pig so they can see your hands? All right. And they wanted to touch and they wanted to cut. I'm not going to let them cut, but they will be touching and they will be asking questions. And along the way, we're going to talk about all the parts of the pig. And I hope I don't say anything loud or obnoxious to my kids, because that would not be the best thing for a video like this.
Yeah.
So what you have in front of you, or what I have in front of me, and what you're seeing on the screen, is what's called a fetal pig. It's a fetus, which means it has not been born yet. This pig was not born. This is a pig that came out of a mother pig that maybe was used for food. So if you eat bacon or if you eat ham, sometimes when they kill the pigs are sometimes thank you. Sometimes they are pregnant, the mother pigs, and so the babies that are inside, they're not allowed to sell those for food. So they sell them to companies, to sell them to schools, that then students can do dissections. So the outer anatomy of a pig. So you take a look at the picture that I have on the side of the screen next to the fetal pig, and that picture shows you some of the anatomy that I'm going to talk about. So we have the front legs over here, we have the rear legs over here, and just like you, pigs have a knee, that's the knee, that's the ankle, and they have the elbow joint and they have the ankle. Then we have an umbilical cord, this is where it's connected to its mother. Up here at the head, you can see that there are ears, one ear, and then on the other side, obviously another. And then it has an eye over there. It's difficult to see. The eye is kind of closed, but that's the pig's eye. All right, we can see inside. It has a little membrane above it, or on top of it. And then in the mouth, which we're going to cut open, it has a tongue. It has you see two nostrils. Okay. There's the chin over there, and these are obviously parts that you would already recognize. Now we're going to flip this pig to the rear. We're going to look at this end of the pig, and we're going to take a look at what type of pig it is, or rather, what sex of pig it is. So just as you are looking at this pig, we can use terms, anatomical terms, to describe which part of the pig or which area of the pig we're talking about. So this is the dorsal portion of the pig, the back portion. This is the ventral portion of the pig, the underbelly. Then we have the anterior at the front, at the head region, and posterior over here at the rump region, or the hand region, or the butt region, if you will. Yes, sorry, one of my kids they've been told to raise their hands, so I'm going to answer a question. Go ahead, ask a question.
Pigs have teeth, and I know that because of the picture.
Yeah, so she's looking at the pictures, and pigs have teeth. We're going to get through that. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this posterior end of the pig, and we're going to see what we have. So here's the tail of the pig. We're going to lift the tail, and we can see here that we have two openings. There's an opening over here. That's the anus. And then we have another opening over here, and that is called the urogenital opening. And so this is a female pig. So it has two openings in the rear. If it was a male pig, the second opening would be right here near the umbilical cord, and that would be the opening for the penis. It would be right underneath the umbilical cord. This is where the bladder would be, in this general area too, and there would be testicles visible right here, and there's not, so we have a female pig. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to open it up, and before I open it up, I'm going to spread it, and we're going to use elastic bands to tie it to our little tray. You want it to touch? What part would you want to touch? Sure, go ahead. Okay, so there's some hair on it. Yeah, it's very smooth. There's some hair on it. Pigs are mammals. Pigs are mammals, just like you're a mammal, so they have hair. So we are going to now open it up. So I'm going to use these elastics. I'm going to take one elastic, and I'm going to wrap it around like this. I'm going to hope for the best under
12 seconds later.
the tray. So now, as you look at the underside of the pig, you'll see that or you hopefully can see that this pig has nipples, or it has what are called teats. And so pigs have typically more kids than just one. They might have 4 or 5 or maybe even 10 at a time. And so they're able to feed all of their kids at once. And the first thing we're going to start is our dissection of the mouth. So I'm going to ask one of my kids to please close on the video screen. He's going to close that picture, the picture of the pig. No, go over to where the pig is. Yeah, hit the X in the corner. And we should end there. So you have a mouth. Okay, so I'm going to open this up. And we're going to use for this, we're going to use a scalpel. So I have a scalpel over here. Now, if we were doing this in class, we would be having a conversation about the tools. It would take a good amount of time for us to talk about what the tools are for. The scalpel is an awesome tool. It's a tool that most students want to use. It's the one that they typically have the most fun with, but it's not the best tool for these jobs. The best tool for these jobs in almost every situation is this, a pair of scissors. These scissors are really, really good. They're very sharp. They're small. They can fit in small gaps and grooves. And what scissors allow you to do is they let you get into the tissue and cut the tissue without going too deep. Scalpel, if you're used to it, if you know what you're doing, if you have a careful hand, then you can do the whole dissection with just the scalpel, but it's more likely that you're going to damage something. So we're going to use the scalpel on the mouth only because the mouth is we're going to cut through where the jaw hinges. We're going to open it up like that. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of muscle, and scissors don't really do that job very well. So we take a look at the mouth here. We have, I can open it up. It is going to look gross. I can open it up. And you can hear, hopefully you can hear, the skin and the jaw separate. So I'm going to cut into the jaw right here. I'm going to cut into the cheek, rather, right here. I'm going to get down to the jaw. And then I'm going to do the same thing. That's okay.
Poor piggy.
Did you get it? That's okay. You're all right.
Poor
I'm going to cut down
piggy.
to the other side. I'm going to cut down to the other side. And we're going to get in. And I'm going to crack open this mouth. Right. In class, if you were doing this, you would be stuck at this part for a long time because people don't want to make these cuts very deep. These are difficult cuts to make the first time because you're cutting through bone. It's bone that belongs to a very small animal, but it's still bone, and it doesn't really feel great to do that. If you're looking at your picture, I'm going to look at mine, we can see that there are some teeth right here. So I have the teeth right there, 1 and 2. And they're difficult to see. The color isn't really great in this image, but I mean, I can feel them. I can barely even see them. So it's right there. Hopefully you can see it between my 2 fingers. Sure, you can feel them. Yeah, go ahead. Feel that? 1 and 2. It's sharp. Yeah, very sharp.
Kind of sharp.
Pigs eat almost anything. So pigs have teeth that are able to chew through a lot of different types of foods. They have sharper teeth than humans do. And so these 2 at the top are very, very sharp. And then what I've cut through over here is I've cut through bone, cut through the jaw, and we can see that there's muscle over here. And we have at the top of the pig's mouth, so this is the top of the pig's mouth, we have what's called the hard palate, and you can feel that in your mouth too. It's where the top of your mouth cavity would be. It's right underneath your nose. And then behind that, we have what's called the soft palate. So it's still the top of the mouth, but it's where the bone portion ends. So that's the soft palate. And then if we were able to get down into this opening, you would be able to see both tubes that lead us into the abdomen of the pig. So this object right here that I'm messing with right there, that's called the epiglottis. This is a special little object. You have one of those as well. And what this does is every time you swallow, the epiglottis moves down over your lungs, and it allows your food to go down into your stomach instead of into your lungs, because we have both tubes from our mouth. One tube goes down, and I can actually pick out which one. So one tube goes down into the lungs, and right behind that, there's a second tube that heads down into the stomach. And we're going to see both those tubes when we cut open the inside. And the epiglottis is when you swallow, it moves down, it blocks the lungs, and it's able to make sure that food doesn't go into the lungs, or drink doesn't go into the lungs, which would be very bad. Then here we have the tongue. It's very obvious. And then the bottom teeth underneath the tongue over there. So it has some bottom teeth as well. Yes.
This is very gross. And if you put that tool into there, I see saliva coming out.
It's not saliva. The liquid that's in here, maybe this is something that's good to talk about. The liquid that's in here is not saliva. This pig would only make saliva if it was alive. So
Okay.
because the pig has been dead for a while, it's not actively making any of the body chemicals anymore. That liquid that's in there is the special liquid that they put inside the pig to make sure it doesn't go bad. To make sure that this pig can stay in a vacuum bag, in a bag, for years, 2 or 3 or 10 years, and it doesn't get eaten by bacteria or fungus or insects.
So that's the liquid you were telling us about.
That's right. That's that liquid. Okay, so there's our mouth. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the head out of the way, and we are going to cut into the body cavity. So here's what I have. I have the chest with the muscles, with the ribs there, and then I have the abdomen here. And so we're going to cut first down here around where the umbilical cord is, and we're going to kind of move it out of the way. We're going to show you some of the objects in there. And then we're going to cut up. We're going to open up into the neck all the way up to the top. And we're going to see the objects in the chest cavity, and then we'll see what else we can explore. Okay, so I'm going to ask my son to close the second picture. All right, so now you have this picture. This is our internal anatomy of the pig. And there's a ton of stuff there. The picture that you see at the side of this pig is full of color. The lungs are blue, the heart is red, the stomach is yellow, the intestines are like a pale color. It doesn't look like that inside the pig necessarily. Sometimes these pigs have special dyes. You can see actually right here, you can see that there's a blue vein right there in my hand. Hopefully you can. Let me see if I can move it up high. See that there's a blue vein there. That blue vein is blue because they inject a special chemical into this pig to turn its arteries and veins different colors. That way it's easy for us to see different parts of the pig. So that gives color, but the pig itself might have a lot of color in it that's been faded over time as it sits in the bag, and we won't know that until we open it up. Some of them look much better than others. Okay, I have another hand raised, another question. Go ahead.
Are we going to see blood inside the pig?
You will not see a lot of blood inside the pig. You will not see blood squirting out because this pig has been killed for a long time.
Yes, why I thought of blood because of that. I
Yeah,
put my hand right there, and I was like, huh?
All right, okay. We're ready to cut down. Everybody at home, I hope you appreciate the color commentary on the side here. All right. So, again, one of the reasons we use the scissors instead of the scalpel is because the scalpel can go too deep. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. I've done in the neighborhood of, I would say, probably 30 or 40 of these dissections. But still, the only thing that I'm going to use the scalpel for is the initial cut here so that I can get through the abdomen. And once I do that, then I'm going to switch to the scissors.
So aren't we going to cut like this? We're going to watch them.
All right, so now I have an opening. Yes, we are. We're going to cut what you see in the picture.
Okay.
So now that I have an opening over here, I'm going to come around on both sides, and I'm going to come down towards the legs. So you can see that you can already see there's tons of stuff going on the inside. See that there's tons of stuff in there, right? So I might have to pause the video and rinse this once we open it up, which is fine, not a big deal. But there are intestines in here, there's the bladder in here. And then I'm also going to have a word with my children about them saying over and over again how gross this is, because I don't think that that's right for a video like this. Okay,
I was just going to say, it's very gross.
Yeah, you were just going to say it's very gross. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see you cut that.
Okay. All right, so here we go. So now we have the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is where this pig gets food and gets rid of waste while it's inside its mother. So you can see that the umbilical cord has a bunch of kind of tubes or objects. It has some arteries, and the arteries take blood from the pig to the umbilical cord. It has some veins. The veins take blood from the umbilical cord back to the pig. It also has right here in the middle, in this little area, it has what's called the bladder. So this middle object right here is called the bladder. This object is where urine is stored, where the pig's pee is held until the pig urinates. Okay? Now that we have that, I'm going to come up and I'm going to go all the way through the central cavity. I'm going to make a few lateral incisions to open up this cavity.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait, that's the harsh
So now,
one.
neither. Just wait for me to get there, man. I'll talk about it. Okay. All right. So this is now the side of the pig. The pig has been opened up. This body wall has been moved. And we can see some really cool objects here. You can see the intestines right here. This is where food, once it makes its way through the stomach, goes. And this object has tons and tons of blood vessels. And they allow the good stuff in food to be picked up by the bloodstream and then sent all the way around the body. We also have the liver up here. This big object is the liver. And we're going to see this when it's opened up as well. And then back here, maybe it's difficult to see, this is the kidney. Kidneys are objects that take blood in, and then they clean out the bad stuff that we don't want in blood and sends it out through the bladder as urine. And it sends the good stuff back into blood. So they're basically filters. They're the filters of the bad things in the body. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to cut around. We're going to have then basically an open cavity, and we'll do some more. I have kids with their hands up here, everybody, so I'm going to ask them what they want to ask. My daughter's questions tend to be not so much questions as just statements of what she sees. And my son, who also has his hand up for, I think, the first time, we'll see, fingers crossed, that it's a good question. Okay, guys, go ahead.
Could you touch it?
Could you touch it? Yes, you can. Let me finish cutting first.
Okay.
Is that your question, too?
Are we going to cut into the eyes?
We can cut into the eyes if you want. I don't know if I want to put that on video, but, we can.
I don't know. Oh,
Okay.
and
So
can
now,
we cut the snout? The nose?
raise your hand, right? Remember that? Yeah, right. Okay. So I'm cutting through now the chest, and this means that I'm cutting through ribs. Cutting through the sternum, I'm cutting through ribs, and behind this is the same thing that's behind your ribs. We have lungs, and we have the heart, and we'll also be able to see the stomach. Actually, the stomach we'll see under the liver. It's not behind the ribs. Okay, let's go a little deeper. All right, everybody. I apologize that all you're doing is watching me cut into this pig. It's not really all that exciting for you. Not a lot of narration, but just have to get this done. Okay. So now, I'm going to crack this open, and we are going to take a look at some really important objects. So I'm going to leave this side connected, and I've disconnected the other. So what we have here is an object called the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a muscle that sits underneath the lungs. And what the diaphragm does is it controls the movement of the lungs, and it basically controls your breathing. When your diaphragm moves downward, it makes your lungs get bigger, and that pulls air into your body. When the diaphragm moves back upwards, it makes your lungs get smaller, and that pushes air out of your body. So I have it over here. I cut it on this side, so you can see that there's sort of like a flap over here. It's difficult to see in the video. There's a little flap. Okay, so I've cut that. And then above it, we have the lungs, and we have the heart. I'm just going to cut some membrane. I'm going to get in there and take a look. Okay, so I have now 2 questions. All right, let's get the oldest question first.
Okay, I was going to
Sorry?
Put the cursor and everything that you're talking
Sure, yeah, no problem.
I was going to call it an Elio. Oh, I see the blue vein better this time. Yeah.
All right, there we go. We have
You
okay,
want to
cracked
show it
open.
up?
Okay,
about.
I will. Okay, so are we good? All right, so let's take a look at some of these objects now. So I'm going to use my probe, and I'm going to point around. Okay, we have another question. Yes, little girl.
I thought that was the brain.
It is not the brain.
No,
The brain is
the
up
brain
here
is
in the
over
head,
there.
and maybe we'll cut it open. We'll
Oh,
see.
are we going to
All
cut
right?
the snout?
We might cut the snout. Okay, ready? Okay.
I'm gonna show you that.
There's a lot of questions from somebody who only raised their hand once. Okay, we'll keep going. So you can see that there's blue up here. All right. Actually, I'm gonna ask. Can we pause the video for a second? All right, everybody, welcome back. So we paused to take a bathroom break and also to get a little flashlight ready. So my son is here with we're gonna use my phone as my flashlight. He might get in the way of the picture as we go. I'm gonna try and keep him out, but we're definitely gonna try and get light from the top. That was me. Light from the top pointing down this way, okay? So we can see color and stuff, all right? So you didn't do anything. Quiet. It's okay. It's all right. You guys are brother and sister. That's what happens. All right. So right over here, you can see that there is a blue object. That blue is one of the blood vessels going to and from the heart. Now, it's hard to know which one because I'm not sure where exactly they injected, but there's blue. You're not pointing towards me anymore. There you go. Thank you. So there's blue right here. So this is one of the blood vessels going back and forth from the heart. Okay? And from the top down, we can work through and we can see, actually see right over here, the tube that takes us to the lungs. So right here, this tube, try and get behind it, this tube is called the trachea. So we can tell that it's the trachea and not the tube that takes us to the stomach because it has little white, can you come closer please and shine right on it? There's little white ridges on it. It has cartilage ridges. And what that cartilage does, it's like the material in your ears or in your nose that's solid but not as hard as bone. What that does is it makes this tube stay open all the time, which is good. Because if your trachea closes for a long time, then you'll stop breathing. So imagine you roll over in your sleep and your neck goes at a weird angle. You would stop breathing and you would die. That's not good. So this tube stays open all the time. Behind it, there's a tube that takes you to the stomach. So that's the tube that I have right here. That's called the esophagus. The esophagus goes from your mouth. The esophagus is hard to see in the picture. So it goes from your mouth down to your stomach, and we're going to cut our way down and sort of make our way through. Okay, so this here is the heart. All right? The heart is a beautiful object. The heart is responsible for moving blood around your body. I'm going to cut the heart and the lungs out in one shot so we can take a close-up look. Okay? I'm going to cut some of this stuff away, some of the connecting material away, and I'm going to cut the heart and the lungs. All right, so I'm going to cut now the trachea.
12 seconds later.
Picture for a while. All right. Heart. Yes. Question.
I took my glove off and is that the kidney?
No, it's not the
No,
kidney.
it's the heart.
So
I see the kidney is
here we have.
I took my glove off. Kidney is like somewhere around here.
Here we have the heart. Okay, and the heart is connected to the lungs. So these are the two lungs. These are the lungs from the back view. These are the lungs from the front. And you can see here the trachea. The trachea would take us in. Now, if we were in class, it would take us into the lungs, and the trachea splits off. It becomes the bronchus, and then it splits off into two tubes, one going to the left, one going to the right, that are called bronchi, and they allow the lungs to fill. If we were in class, I have a set of lungs that we would be able to inflate. We could get a straw and blow them up. I did that when I was in high school. I'm not really a fan about doing that because these materials should not be placed in your mouth. Hopefully never, but it is something that can be done where you can see the lungs inflate as long as you haven't cut them with your scalpel as you're cutting through. So down here at the bottom, we can see the blood vessel that takes blood. Now it's hard to know with the color which blood vessel we're looking at, but this is definitely a blood vessel because it's blue, and this is most likely the aorta, which is a tube that takes blood from the heart towards the rest of the body. So some of it is this way. Some of it goes down, and it's the biggest blood vessel in your body. It is, come higher, please, from up here. No, like, come around maybe, so it's easier to see. Okay, so it's a blood vessel that is about the size of a garden hose. Okay, now back to the body. We have here the liver, and this sort of like stuff that's just hanging out. This is the diaphragm that I cut away before. It's sits right above the liver, right underneath the lungs. So I'm going to cut it away completely. And behind, we can see the aorta. Behind, we can see the aorta again. And here is the esophagus, which takes food down to the stomach. Yeah, question?
Are you going to blow the thing?
No, I will not. I will not do that. No, we should not do that.
So you have lungs in your room?
I have lungs in my room and my classroom.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, and so here is the underside of the liver. So underneath the liver, there's a bag right here. That's your stomach. Normally, if we were doing an animal that's been alive for a while, we would be able to cut the stomach open and see the food that this animal has eaten. But because these pigs are inside their mother still, they're fetal pigs, they haven't been born, there's not going to be anything in here that's really worth looking at. All right? Now, underneath here, higher. Okay. Underneath, we have the intestines. So these are the intestines of the pig. This big, sort of greenish looking bundle right here are the large intestines. And then this here is the small intestine. Small intestine is a tube, and it's hard to see. Let me see if I can cut it away. I can take a look up close to the camera. I see your hand up. Don't worry, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to call you. Okay. I'm going to cut away. See if I can take some of these out. All right. So here are the intestines. And my kids want to touch it, okay? So we'll let them do that.
I do not want to
And so
touch
if
it.
you can see, there's a tube, and then in between the tubes, you can see my glove underneath a sort of membrane here. This right here, that membrane is where all of the blood vessels move from the small intestine back to the bloodstream. So this is how food and nutrients and vitamins and good things get picked up. It's connected to this big lump in the middle. So this is where all of the blood goes back and forth from the intestines, and then it moves through the bloodstream, and you get all of the good stuff from your food all around your body. If it stayed in your intestines, it wouldn't do any good. If you got rid of it after you ate, it wouldn't do any good. So it stays in your body, but it moves into the bloodstream. Okay, questions. We have some questions, I'm sure. No?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your question?
Could we touch it?
Could you touch it? Sure. All right. So here we go. So you can put your hand in, get your hand in and touch it.
Tell us if
You can squeeze it between your fingers.
It feels like slimy.
Feels slimy? Yeah, I mean it's wet. It's not really slimy.
It is like I thought this was the brain.
It is not the brain. It kind of looks like a brain when it's all squished together, but it is not the brain. Okay, now one of the things that we would do in class, again, I apologize to you guys that you're not in class to actually do it. One of the things we would do is we would cut the small intestine and see how long it would be. So if I pull it, so I'm going to pull it instead of cutting it, which is not as safe to do it this way. It's really easy to break. But I just want you to look at a small section here of small intestine. Look at how long I got. And there's so much left.
Can I try?
No, you cannot try. So the small intestine in you is in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 feet. So we're talking maybe 10 meters or so. That's how much intestine you have in you. And it's that long because the intestine is responsible for getting all the good stuff out of your food. And the longer it is, the more chance you have to get the good stuff out of your food. If we didn't eat food where we needed to spend a lot of energy or a lot of work to get the nutrients out, we could have a small intestine and large intestine that were a lot shorter. Carnivores, animals that eat meat, their intestines are not this long. They don't have to be. They can get all the good stuff out of their food with a shorter intestine. Okay, I have another question. No, she wanted to say that she's the youngest and she touched it first. No. She has to beat her brothers for some reason, but we're gonna leave that. I'll leave that right there at the side. Okay. So next, so now we have here the bottom end of the large intestine. So that's this right here, and that takes us out of the pig with the rectum and then the anus. And so these pigs, as they live inside their mother for the few months that they live, they don't eat anything in terms of food, but they do move their mouths open and closed, and they swallow every once in a while. And they swallow, it's sort of practicing opening and closing their lungs, and so they move things in and out. And sometimes some of the cells and some of the things inside the fluid inside the mother get inside the pig and they get inside the stomach, and it makes its way here. So this pig hasn't eaten anything, but it does have some feces, some waste in it. You can see, like I'm kind of picking it out. All right, so it's right there. I'm gonna leave this off to the side. That's stuff that was inside the liquid inside the mother that the pig, when it opens and closes its mouth, goes in. It doesn't really eat it. It doesn't use it as food, but it does go into the stomach. So it's kind of like food, but it's not. All right. Here we have the two kidneys. So we saw them from the side. Now we're seeing them from the top. So I'm going to cut one kidney. I'm going to take it out completely. I have another question. Guys, listen. If you've made it to this point in the video, this is 33 minutes and 4 seconds. If you made it here, I apologize for my daughter's questions because most of the time they're not questions. She just wants to say something. She loves to talk. There we go. There we go. When are we going to go back to the mouth? See, so she's asking, the best questions. She wants to go back to things that we've already seen. All right, so here is the kidney. Okay, the kidney has a blood vessel going in, a blood vessel going out, and then it has a tube. The tube is kind of tricky to see. It's right here. It's a tube that takes us from the kidney to the bladder, where urine is stored, and then when this pig is going to pee, the urine leaves the bladder and goes out of the pig. Okay, so was there a question? Yes, oldest one.
Are we going to get into the brain?
The brain is tricky to get into. If we're going to get into the brain, I'm not sure that I want to do it on camera because it takes a long time and it's tricky. Maybe we'll pause the video and I'll show the brain. Okay?
Could I touch? Could you
Touch
touch
what?
that?
Touch the kidney?
Mhm.
Sure, go ahead. If you're wearing gloves, you should not be touching the table that you're on. Your glove should never touch the table because your glove is dirty. Okay, anybody else want to touch? The lungs are out. This is where the lungs were. The lungs are here now.
I don't
Move
want
them.
to touch it anymore.
Oh.
So that's the heart. I don't want to touch it anymore.
Sure, you can take your glove off and go throw it in the garbage.
right there.
That thing right there is the heart.
Okay.
Uh-oh, that's okay. Are you going to pick it up? That's okay. Pick it up. Go ahead.
There.
Yes, you can. This is the inside of the glove. Touch this part. Okay, I guess. Go ahead. Throw it in the garbage. Okay. So the heart here. The heart here. Actually, I'm going to leave this connected.
Use one glove, okay?
It just makes it easier.
So we don't waste up.
All right. So here we have the mouth of the pig again. And I'm going to make my way into the brain. So I'm going to ask my son to pause the video. We're going to make our way in and we'll just show. Okay. So I've cut two more parts of this pig that we can take a quick look. There's not really much to see here with the eye. The eye has a membrane on top of it that stops the eye from getting irritated. So it basically is an extra layer of closing material, closure on top of the eye. And it keeps the eye protected. And then I have cut away the skin on top of the head. And I've also cut into the skull. The skull is fairly solid. It's soft as far as bone goes. It's a lot softer than it would be when this pig was older, but it's still fairly solid. And I'm able to cut it with scissors and then peel it back. And here we can see the brain of the pig. During brain surgery, when people do brain surgery on people, not on pigs, the brain can be touched. It can be touched, it can be poked, it can be prodded, and the person won't feel anything because brain tissue doesn't have any pain sensors inside it. When you get a headache, you're not feeling pain in your brain itself. What you're feeling is pain in the muscles and the tissues and the skull around your brain. The brain itself doesn't have any pain sensors in it. The brain has special nerves that tell you that other parts of your body are in pain, but the brain itself, you can touch it and poke around in it, and it wouldn't do anything. And so when they do brain surgery, all they need to do is freeze the outside. The person can still be awake, and conscious, and aware. And they've often asked people questions during surgery so that they can map out what different parts of the brain do. Like if I do something to this piece of the brain right here, what do you see? What do you notice? Do you notice any colors? Do you notice any new smells? And so they were able to map out how the brain functions while people under surgery, while they were alive and awake and aware and paying attention. Okay, I have a question. I hope it's a good one.
Could I get a glove on and touch that brain?
You want to get a glove on and touch the brain? Sure, we can do that off of camera.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so it's 37 minutes. That was Mr. Bona's dissection of the fetal pig. I apologize for the quality of the light. I apologize for the occasional comments from the peanut gallery over here. Hopefully you were able to learn something, and I apologize you weren't able to do this in class. All right, thank you very much. Have a great day.
We were waiting lots of time.